everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to continue the series where I am coloring this beautiful portrait by Mariola Budek. This is Yasmin. You can find this portrait in her Etsy store and I will have the link down below if you're interested. But we have done, I believe, 4 videos in this series so far and you all seem to have really enjoyed it. And some of you are even coloring along with me and sharing it in my Facebook group. So I am really loving that. So the last video, we colored these flowers here and I showed you how to bring balance to the page because as you can see, we had a lot of the same color sort of going on in this. And I wanted to do a different color in the flowers and something that was really contrasting, but I needed to be able to bring some of the colors from up here down over here to just really create some balance on the page. So I really believe I was able to do that and I love how these flowers turned out. I really love them. So I love the way that it's all coming together so far. And today we're going to color the owl and I have some colors picked out. I've only got 3 colors that I'm going to attempt to do this owl in, aside from, of course, the eyes and maybe a little bit of this jewelry. If you enjoy videos like this and you want to color along or just sit back and watch, stick around. If you check the description box down below, you will find links down there for my Facebook group as well as my Etsy store where I have lots of digital content available. And my email list, if you sign up for my email list, you will get a free swatch chart sent to you so you could swatch all your colored pencils. And my Patreon if you would like to support me over there. So let's go ahead and get into this video and start coloring the owl. First thing I'm going to show you is the colors that I chose. And if you saw my last video, you know that I came over here and I colored the stem of this flower using, I think it was, yeah, the moss green. This owl is going to look quite a bit different just because I'm trying to bring balance to the entire page as a whole. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do his eyes yet. I wanted to be able to bring the blue over from the flowers into his eyes, but after choosing these colors, I don't think that's going to look good. So we're probably not going to do that. But let's go ahead and get into coloring this. And I may have to speed certain parts up because there's a whole lot of little intricate spaces in this owl. And I really need to be able to concentrate. I tried these colors off to the side on my other portrait. I always have 2 copies printed out and I test things before I bring them to the actual coloring page because I just, after all this work, I don't want to mess it up. So I practiced a little bit to see how the colors come together. And there's so many little intricate areas that in some of the parts I had to color with my hand like this. And so it made it a little bit difficult, or would make it a little bit difficult for y'all to see what I'm doing. So certain parts of it I may have to skip over or fast forward or whatever, but y'all will get the idea of exactly what I'm doing as I go through. So I turned it just a little bit so that I could get the right angle so that I could color, and hopefully y'all can see exactly what I'm doing. But I think I'm going to start up here in this upper part of her shoulder. And let me go ahead and tell you what colors I'm using. I only have 3 colors, like I said. I don't know if I'm going to bring something else in. But I might. So far, I'm going with just the 3 colors. But I think I've got beige here, and I think the beige is enough to give it enough of a drastic highlight with these other colors because these colors are so much darker. So this is still going to create that little bit of pop that I want for a highlight. So I've got beige, which is PC 997, and then I have light umber, PC 941, and then the moss green, which, like I said, I brought in from over here where I colored the stem. And these colors, I believe, this one was used for her skin. And then the light umber, I think that was actually for her skin too. So they're colors that I did use on the page, but now we're just bringing them to the owl. So I'm going to start here with the beige, and I am, like I did in the previous videos, I'm basically just following the grayscale. So I'm going to fill this beige in all of these areas, and this is a really pretty color, and it's going to act as our highlight color, and it's really going to give that little bit of pop I want in his wings. But I'm just adding this in here where I see the lightest of the grayscale. And I'm not necessarily going to follow the grayscale to a T through this whole entire thing because there's a lot of really light grayscale all throughout here, and I don't want some of these areas to be so light. So I'm going to alter it just a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to sort of follow the grayscale, but at the same time, I'm going to add my own thing to it as well. Maybe we should come over here and just go ahead and get all of these filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill in all these areas around his face just to preserve the area where I want to be able to keep those highlighted sections. And down here, I'm going to put just a tiny bit because it looks much darker in these areas. And you'll see when these colors start to come together, it's going to create a whole nother color. It's going to be so pretty. When you're coloring animals, you want to use at least 3 colors because you want those colors to lay down and you want to be able to actually see where they are overlapping one another, because that is what helps you to create the look of, you know, the hair. And in this case, wings. And if you can see, I am just using that flicking motion as I go through here and I lay this moss green down, and I'm just outlining right now exactly where I see the lines of the artwork. And I am going to come back and mix some of my brown in here. What was I using? I think it was light umber. And again, you can see me preserving that highlight area and trying not to go into those areas. And I'm going really light. When I'm laying this down, I'm trying to remember that I'm still going to have to come back. I still have one more color, which is contrasting to this one. So I want to make sure that I still have space to lay that color. And it looks like a lot of the artwork has actually been lost up here. I don't think that was my printer. I think that it is actually the piece of art. And so I'm just going to have to draw some of these lines back in. Okay, so we're getting all of this section pretty much filled in, and you can see that it's starting to create quite a bit of dimension. And I'm glad I laid this color down first because I really want to see how this moss green looks with these other colors. And I'm sort of blending some of this moss green into the, gosh, what color was I using? The beige. And I'm just going back and forth here and creating another layer. And here I need to turn my pencil because we're sort of missing again some of that artwork there that really should look like a wing or part of the wing. Okay, so now I'm coming back with the light umber, and I'm going to start adding some of this in here just to change up the colors just a little bit. And you're going to see as some of these colors come together, it's going to create a gold-like look, but you're still going to be able to see the green. And I'm just pulling all the colors together as I do this, and it's going to end up looking really pretty. Like I said, I tested this out before I brought it to my coloring page because I never ever want to bring something to my coloring page, especially something like this that I have put so much time into already. I don't want to bring something to my coloring page and then mess it up and regret it. But look how pretty that is starting to look, and those colors, how they just come together or they just blend together and they create a whole nother color. And I'm still making sure that I keep that highlighted area there. And as I go through, I'm turning my pencil because I want to use a sharper lead as I come through and enhance some of the artwork or the lines in the artwork that have sort of disappeared a little bit. I like having to be a little bit extra artistic when I'm doing portraits and coloring pages like this that are more realistic. And I think that I am going to really emphasize a lot of this color over here just because I really want it to stand out from her skin. I'm coming back with my moss green, and I'm going to start darkening some of this up. And again, I'm just going to keep using this flicking type motion as I come through here and just blend some of these colors together. Now, I'm using moss green, but I don't necessarily want this to look green. And by the time I'm done, it's not going to look green. I mean, you may see the mossy green there, but once it is blended together with that brown umber, it just makes the most beautiful color. It's kind of like a greenish brassy gold or something like that. Once it all comes together, especially once you add that beige in, it's really, really pretty. And I don't know how many of you realize it, but one of the wonderful things about your Prismacolor set, or any colored pencil set for that matter, is learning how to also not just create color combinations, but also learn how to blend your colors together so that you can create new colors. And that's basically what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to keep coming back over and over again with these colors, layering them on top of one another, because I'm trying, like right here, I still see a lot of the lines in the artwork. And so I'm trying to cover some of that up. I hope my hand hasn't gotten in the way. Doing these really small, intricate areas makes it much more difficult to color and keep your hand in one place. And I know you all hear me say all the time, I've literally had to retrain myself when it comes to coloring, because I have to make sure my hand is out of the way and I'm in frame, and I have to keep looking above me and checking to make sure that I am still where y'all can see me, because I've made, you know, quite a few videos when I first started coloring. You know, while I was filming, I actually made quite a few videos, and I would have people in the comments section saying, I can't see what you're doing. I can't see what you're doing. And they would literally leave comments like that. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't think people realize that sometimes when you get into the coloring, you just sort of zone out and you forget. But I think this looks really pretty together. I really, really like this. Yeah, but usually when I get to editing and I see that my hand has gotten in the way, I'll try for the most part to edit that part out if I can. But I mean, if it's something that's pretty important and I want you all to see, I'll leave it in. Now this is the Strathmore colored pencil paper. If y'all watched my previous videos, you know that this is like, oh, my new obsession. This paper is just so amazing. Oh, I didn't put any brown over here where I started on this part of the wing here. But you all know now that I love this paper. I bought it because it was on sale at Michael's, and I had been wanting to try it for the longest time. And I never bought it just because I like to buy things when they are on sale and not expensive. Who doesn't, right? We always want to get good deals. And I'm just coming in here and shading in some of these other areas. I think I used the green first last time, but I don't think it really makes a difference because the colors are all going to come together and blend together as one. So let me go ahead and grab the green now. His face is going to be much more difficult because there are so many little tiny small areas in his face, many more than over here in this wing, and that's why I wanted to start outward and then come in, because the other reason I don't want my hand laying on top of what I colored and smearing it, because like I said in my previous video, this is going to be going up on my wall. I'm definitely going to be framing this one. I love how this is turning out, and I am now a new fan of Mariola Budek's artwork. She has some beautiful images in her Etsy store. Okay, so I grabbed my little tiny white that I've actually glued two different ones together. And I am going to turn this a little bit, and I am going to just add some white highlights in here, because I noticed at the top I sort of used the white of the paper because I had so much more space, and I kind of lost that down in here, and I want to add it back because everything looks better with highlights. So between the white highlight and then that beige color, oh, it's so pretty. I finished the bottom part of the wing here, and now we're going to move back up towards the top and start coming down this way. Now, earlier I already laid down my highlight color everywhere, all through here and a little bit in his face. So I'm going to come back in here with my light umber, and I'm going to start just laying some of this color down. And like I did before, I'm just going to start following some of these lines and laying in this darker color. And then of course I'm going to come back and I'm going to do that again with the green, the moss green rather. And I'm just again using these flicking motions so that I could keep those lines in the artwork. I'm going to pull some of this color down into this part of the wing and pull some of that color up in that direction. Basically, I'm just blending the colors together so that I could achieve the look of the colors as they come together and form that new color. And I think that I probably maybe have enough of this color now. Let me just lay a little bit over in these areas here. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my moss green and I'm going to lay down some of this right over the areas where I laid that brown. Now all of these areas down here where these tips of these parts of the wings, or these different sections of the wing, are sticking out, I think I'm just going to grab this color and sort of fill these areas in. I think I want a little bit more of a highlight in here. And as I did earlier, I want to still leave some of the white of the paper and not cover too much of it up. And I still have a good amount of space in this part of the wingspan to be able to do that. It's a little bit more difficult where you have a smaller space because you don't have as much space to lay your colors. I left these little tiny parts of the wingspan a lighter color because they are laying right up against where this darker color is, and that way they will stand out more. But I really think that these need a little bit more green, and that will really help these little sections here, the little tiny intricate sections. That will really help those to stand out quite a bit more. So I think we're going to start moving into this part of the wing. We're getting very close to the face. Let me go ahead and start doing the same thing all in here. Now see here where I said earlier that I'm not really going to follow the grayscale so much, because these little teeny tiny sections in here, they've got darker grayscale behind them. I am going to keep those sections lighter just because I think that they will look better that way. These sections are so small, I probably should not lay any more color in there. I'm going to come in here and just again blend these colors into one another, and I'm making this a little bit darker all in here because I want these to really stand out. So when you have two colors and one is much lighter and then another area is much darker, then it really helps for the lighter area to stand out a whole lot more. And I'm actually going to take my white pencil and I'm going to make these even whiter. So anytime you're coloring something and you see something where you might have, colored over it, you could either come in with something like your mono eraser, this right here. Y'all know that I show you this all the time, but you can either come in with something like this and erase the area, or if you don't want, you could even do both. But if you don't want to do that, and like right here in this little tiny spot, I feel like I brought the color up too much. So I'm just adding a little bit of white back in there, and it worked perfectly. So yeah, the Posca pen really helps to add highlights. So now we're going to start moving into this area here, and I've already laid down my highlight color in most everywhere. So I'm going to come in here and, oh my gosh, I'm looking at these sections and I see a lot of areas that I want to leave a lot lighter in the face. I think that I'm going to shade over here with some green and do a little bit of lining in these areas and then maybe up here under the eye, just to create a little bit of shadow. But I want a lot of this, I think, to be much lighter. I'm trying to do these sections very, very slow because I feel like I want a whole lot of highlights in these areas. Like all in here, I want this to be a pretty big highlight, and I think I'm just going to use this flicking type motion and go upward and drag this color into that area, trying to create a few of my own lines that aren't already here. So I've laid the moss green in all of the areas where I think that I want it. I kept this area up here a little bit lighter, and I don't think I brought any green up. Yeah, no, I didn't bring any green up into these areas. I made a green, or used the moss green to make a shadow all on the outside here, because I think I want this top part of the head right here to be a little bit lighter and really stand out. So now I'm coming in with my light umber, and I am going to start blending some of these colors together like I did in all of the other parts of the wings. And I am still trying to preserve some of the white of the paper. And these areas are all just so small that I'm trying to just be so careful as to where I'm laying my colors. I think over here I want it a little bit darker just because her hair is sort of just draping over the top of the owl. And so I would assume that there wouldn't be a whole lot of highlights over here. I'm just going to really just fill this in much darker, just because I want him to look really dark over here and make him sort of mysterious looking. Oh, I don't know. I'm really loving this image. This is one of my favorite pages, honestly, that I have ever colored. Oh, I love how he looks so dark green over here. Just that mossy green is just so beautiful. And I'm going to come back and add a little bit more brown in here, because I want to really be able to see just a tad bit of a highlight right in here. So I'm going to add quite a bit of that. And then I think I'm going to use this back and forth motion up here just to add a little bit of texture all around his eyes. But right in here, I want to keep that highlight. And I also want to keep a highlight all through here as well. But I want to be able to blend some of these colors in. Okay, so let me start adding a little bit of brown up in this area here. It is just coming together so nicely. I love this portrait so much. There's so many little intricate spaces on this owl though. I'm gonna have to definitely come back with the tan and add more of this color in. So I don't know if I'm gonna get to the blanket yet in this video, because I don't have any ideas really as to what I want for the blanket. At first I wanted to do a white blanket and do a tutorial for that, how to create white. And I just wanted it to be a beautiful, really soft white. But now I'm thinking that I want the blanket to be like a baby blue color. So I'm not really set on an idea yet as to what I want for the blanket and how I want it to look. And so I don't want to, I don't want to just do something for the sake of the video. And I love how this is looking once I'm adding this sand color to this. This is so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to start going over some of these areas all in his face. And I am going to use the moss green And I'm just going to start adding another layer in here because there's just, I don't know, when I look at it, there's just really not enough depth here. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to add even more of a shadow, blending those two colors together, doing the same thing with my light umber. Okay, so I think I want to go ahead and get the eyes colored in. Okay, so I have burnt ochre, and this, I don't even think this is a color. I don't remember if I used this color already. It may have been used in her hair, but I'm going to add some of this color in here, and I am going to put a little bit of this sand in his eyes, just like that. I think this color looks really cool, and it really brings in, you know, the colors from her hair. I have lemon yellow here, and I'm going to brighten this up quite dramatically. So I think this is going to give his eyes the pop I'm looking for. And I'm trying to get it just, oh yeah, that looks good. I really like that. I think I might need to add, I don't know, maybe some terracotta to his eyes. Oh, his eyes look fantastic. He looks, I don't know, he looks sort of like mysterious. I'm thinking that the terracotta is maybe a little bit of a shade darker. Let's go ahead and try this and see what happens. Oh wow, I think I need a little brown. It's all about experimenting, y'all. Gonna put a little bit more of this lemon yellow in here. Oh man, his eyes are gonna go pow. And now I'm just blending it in with the sand. That's exactly what I was looking for. Look at that. I'm gonna try dark brown. So I just grabbed my dark brown and let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, this might work. And then of course with eyes, you always wanna come around and really add that color in there. Oh yeah, now they're really standing out. Oh my goodness. His eyes, like really, oh my god. This little moon or whatever that is up here on his head, I really want to just color this in right now with this lemon yellow. And I'm gonna need to bring some other colors in. Maybe I'll bring some of these colors in that I used on his eyes to sort of make this a little bit of the same. This may look really cool. And then I could just go in and I could color the top of his head in the same shades that I colored the rest of him. Oh, I think this is gonna look really cool, and it really is helping to bring in all the colors from the rest. And I'm not gonna use this burnt ochre and go over with too much pressure because I want a really good blend of these two colors. Now I'm going to take my dark brown and I'm gonna add some of that in there. And then the eyes and this little moon here, they're just all really gonna come together and look so, so cool. Oh, but I think that really looks good. So I'm gonna come in here and I think that I'm going to finish up his nose and maybe use these same colors that I used over here on his eyes and then up here. And let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I think that looks really good. And then I need to come in here and I need to bring in some of those colors that I did, or color them the same color actually as I did in all these other areas. So I'm going to go ahead and shade this in with my sand. And then I'm going to come in really quick and I am going to finish him up. So I'm going to need my dark umber and my moss green. So I think that I need to, yeah, so since I have the darker color down here and a lot of green, I'm going to start my green here just by lining some of this. I'm wondering if just in this section here, if I should add a pop of that lemon yellow. That might look really cool. Let me just line some of this and maybe bring this color down a little bit, but I want the highlight to be more towards the end so that it's up against those darker colors, and that will make it look a lot better because then you've got that contrast and it creates that separation between the colors. I'm just lining some more of these areas here. And then I'm going to come back with my light umber and we're going to, oh, I think I put that in the wrong place, but as I always tell y'all, everything is always fixable. So I will come back and fix it. I think I want to use a little bit of Posca on here and add a few more highlights, maybe, possibly, I don't know yet. And I think up in here, where this is sort of coming into where her skin is, I need to really make this look a little bit set off of her skin. And I'm gonna do it just by lining, again, some of those areas. And this is usually how I do more intricate work, but I don't know, I think I want to, just this top section, I think I want to be a little bit daring and add a little bit of lemon yellow in there. So I'm going to use the lemon yellow and I am going to put this pop of color all in and around on just these parts of his head. Oh, I think that's going to look really pretty. And it sort of just, it blends in and it brings out his eyes. And I think it looks really good. So now I just need to come back and add a bit more depth here. And I'm just doing this by doing the same flicking motion that I've done on his, or on this entire owl. Pulling the color down and out. Just like this. We've got quite a bit of space in between or behind here. You see how just as I come in here and just lay more of this color, it really just makes it stand out quite a bit more and it gives it much more dimension. Okay, so I have my Posca and I think that I want to make a highlight all in these areas here. So like, let me see, is this working? Okay, so like right, it is working and I think it's flowing just enough. Oh, I love that. Oh, that looks so good. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. Let me finish up over here. Oh, how pretty. Usually when I'm using my Posca, if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I use my finger just to sort of blend the color a little bit so it's not really standing out all that much. But oh my gosh, that looks so pretty. I think I want just a little bit in here. I think it looks really good. I don't know, I might come back here. Let me go ahead and do just a little bit more here. Oh, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. I mean, I might come back and I might add a little bit more Posca, but I think he looks really, really cool. I think we're done for now and our owl was completed and I love the way that he turned out. I love how everything has just come together and all of the colors are pretty much muted except for that gorgeous blue. I need to really think about what I want to do here with the blanket. I might want to make it like a very pastel-y blue to sort of bring in the colors from these flowers over here. I don't know exactly what I want to do with it yet, but I want to make sure that is, you know, that it turns out absolutely perfect with whatever choice that I make. So I didn't want to rush it and try to stick it in this video too. So there will be a video coming for this and it will probably be another tutorial. Y'all know every time I do videos, it's always some kind of tutorial. I don't think I could do a video without it being a tutorial. So you will have that coming, and if you check the description box below, I will have a link to Mariola Budek's Etsy store where you could pick up this beautiful image. And I know a lot of you are already picking up this beautiful image and coloring it and following this color along and really enjoying it. Y'all have done some beautiful work with this, and I really enjoy seeing those. So I am also now teaching private coloring classes, so if you would like to take some classes, I would love to meet you, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring! Bye!